I heard about self-storage and I'm like, you know what? This is brilliant. Like, I want to buy my first storage facility. And 8 weeks pregnant, I woke up at 2 a.m. in the morning and I found a storage conference in Las Vegas, booked my plane flight, spent $2,000, and then told my husband in the morning, like, guess what I'm doing? I definitely thought I was crazy, but this was kind of like, I guess you would say, like the start, something just really big. Storage facility is a business and it's an asset, and I can actually run them remotely from my home.
Hey friends, really quick before we start the episode, we actually just booked our venues for our retreats in 2025. We'll be in Minnesota the end of March, and we'll be in the Bay Area beginning of May. So it's going to be a weekend where you can connect with like-minded women, refine your vision, and create a plan to make your dreams come true through real estate.
These weekends are going to be super intimate, like 12 women max. So you are going to create amazing connections. We are going to nourish you with delicious and healthy food. And we are going to really help you, coach you to craft your vision and to create really clear steps on how to get you there. So go over to investedandrested.com. Go check out the retreat page and sign up because the spots are going to go fast. We cannot wait to spend a whole weekend with you soon.
Welcome back to Invested and Rested, friends. Today we have Bree Hartman. Honestly, she just has amazing energy. And by the end of this, you're going to want to switch your investing strategy.
Pretty positive I'm investing in self-storage, you guys, after listening to this episode, after our interview. Yeah. So go listen. She has so many great actionable steps. You're going to feel like you know how to get started, which is amazing for just one 45-minute episode. So go take a listen.
Hi, Bree. We're so excited to have you on today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your first real estate deal?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Bree Hartman, and so I actually live in Sacramento, California, and I am a self-storage owner and investor. So we own 83,000 square feet of storage, and I transitioned, I think, from like one accidental rental to, hey, I'm going to make this big change and buy my first storage facility. And so with that, you know, of course, especially as like a mom and a woman and as a business person, you make all those changes when you're pregnant, right? So I was 8 weeks pregnant. And I know you guys can probably relate to this, and some of your listeners, where you wake up and you're like, I own a gym business and I'm pregnant and I've like created my own business the wrong way. And so going from there, we had like one accidental rental, and this allowed me to be like, hey, this cash flows, but I'm still like doing DIY. Like, I'm painting all this stuff. I'm having tenants call me at like 10 p.m. at night saying, hey, we have black mold when it's really mildew. And so just many, you know, having service animals that cause like $7,000 of baseboard damage. And so that led me to being like, what else is out there? You know, how can I like think bigger? I'm not a young chicken like all these young investors are. I'm 35. And so I heard about self-storage and I'm like, you know what? This is brilliant. Like, I want to buy my first storage facility. And so 8 weeks pregnant, I woke up at 2 a.m. in the morning and I found a storage conference in Las Vegas, booked my plane flight, spent $2,000, and then told my husband in the morning, like, guess what I'm doing? I'm going to go to Vegas and I'm going to go learn about storage and I'm going to buy my first storage facility. So he definitely thought I was crazy, but this was kind of like, I guess you would say, like the start of something just really big. And I had no idea that I think I would fall in love with storage. And just coming back from that conference, I was like, wow, okay, so a storage facility is a business and it's an asset, and I can actually run them remotely from my home. And from there, cash flow them as well as force appreciation and use the tax benefits. Since my husband has, you know, a high income earning job, how can I offset that for our family for the future? So long story short, that's like a little bit about me, but getting into the deal, do you want me to talk a little bit about just like the first storage facility and kind of how that happened?
Yeah, tell us about it.
Awesome. Okay, so you guys are in for a ride, but so like once you come back, once you learn about storage, and I guess I'd give you guys like the fast like 5 things that really like attracted me was that when you're having a kid and you envision like your family life as a gym owner, you're working like 60 hours a week, and you're really dictated by other people's schedules. And so owning the storage facility in a good market and a bad market, 1 in 8 people use storage, which is absolutely amazing. And then also like so it's like, well, think about it. There's like, we love Amazon. Like we're in this culture right now that like,
Pretty
I
terrible.
I just had like 3 packages and they're sitting outside my door. And so, a lot of like Americans are downsizing sometimes, or they are, moving near, like one of our facilities near a military, near a school like LSU. So a lot of people can use storage in the sense of like, hey, I'm going to put my prized possessions here while I figure out my life, right? And so normally they are more of a sticky customer too, because if you raise rates by $10, no one's going to take their weekend in the summer heat to go move all their stuff, run a U-Haul and then go to the storage facility next door, right? So I think the stability of storage. And so that actually led me to, I think, you watch all the webinars, you learn about it, and then 9 months later, I went to another storage conference and I met my business partner, future business partner. We didn't know at the time. And so with that, we were just bringing each other deals, because I think we go to conferences all the time, but building relationships. Like I met Caitlin at a conference, and then now we're here talking on this podcast, which is amazing. So long story short, we found a storage facility in near like Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And when the numbers pencil, they pencil. And of course, I never thought I'd buy a facility like my first facility in Louisiana when I live in California. And so that took some time to get outside my comfort zone. But I think what really was helpful is that coming in with, we had not only one of my partners, and then my other business partner was like, well, hey, let's bring in Kevin, who's really good at underwriting. And so we divide and conquered, and we bought our facility for $3.1 million. And we used a small business association loan to decrease the type of down payment. So instead of a 30% down payment that a conventional bank would require, we only had to put down 15%. And so this storage facility is definitely, we went a little bit larger. We're like, you want to push yourself outside your comfort zone, like go bigger than you think, because the economy of scale is you're going to outgrow it, right? A lot of people are like, I only want 50 units, but this facility was actually 360 units. Half of it's climate controlled, the other half is drive up. And then we had the ability to put in another 100 RV and boat spots like within 8 weeks. And then it also had a cell tower, which brings like monthly revenue to us. And then we also have another 4 acres, because our goal in year 4 is to build another 45,000 square feet of climate control buildings on that facility. So it definitely is a like 5 to 7 year like hold plan for that one facility. But it was just one of those, it worked. And in order to take it down, a lot of people are, I think, nervous to partner. And so we explored those partnerships, and it's been fantastic. Like I gave birth. Yeah. And that's when you really need other people in your corner. So it's been really nice. Yeah.
How did you partner? In what way did you set it up?
Absolutely. So we split everything as like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 as
Okay.
GPs. And so with that, I think this partnership, this was my first lesson that I learned, I feel like in like real estate in general, is like, you don't have to do anything alone. And so you can try, you feel like, hey, I can do this all by myself. And that was my mentality for a good like 8 months. And then I was like, wow, if I explored partnership, not only do you decrease your risk because you're splitting the down payment cost, but you're also splitting the ability to double down and then scale with that same partnership. So each of us have certain roles, in the storage business. I do all the acquisitions and the marketing, and then my partner Kevin does all the underwriting. And every week we come to the board with what are the numbers, what are the in and the outs, what are expenses that we need to take care of? What's our bottom line? Have we beat last year's? And then my other third partner, she does a lot of permitting and business, like kind of like development. And so she's going to be in charge of the expansion of that facility. So you can see, like, I think you don't want to partner with someone who has the same skill sets. You want to partner with someone that has, opposite skill sets from yourself. And that's kind of how we formed. But trust me, we, within 8 weeks, we had never met. Well, had met her once in person, but we hadn't like talked about partnerships. So you really have to you go in like a relationship. So you have to ask them these questions of what happens to the business if someone gets divorced, or what happens to the business if someone dies, or, how does this business still live on and is not tanked by a human situation that can cause rupture in a partnership, which can cause business to, fluke or, kind of go bankrupt if you don't look at that ahead of time.
Are you wanting to invest in real estate and own multifamily, like a duplex or maybe even larger, but you're feeling a little lost and you need a step-by-step guide?
Good news, we got you. We are about to launch a course on how to invest in cash flowing multifamily properties. So we are going to lay it out for you step by step. And the amazing part about this is we're also going to coach you along the way. We're going to have coaching calls where we can answer all those questions. Yeah, sure, you can read a book, but you're not going to have anybody to talk to about problems that arise or questions you have. So check out investedandrested.com. It's coming soon, and we cannot wait to help you buy your first multifamily property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caitlin and I had a lot of those conversations up front too. And it's funny, at first you're a little nervous to say, like, what happens if this? What happens if that? But having those conversations up front and having everything in writing just makes it so much easier down the road if and when something happens. Hopefully not catastrophic, but we don't know what the future will hold.
Exactly. And having those, like you said, like hard conversations, like they're not fun. It's like going into sometimes a marriage and being like, hey, these are my expectations. What, how can we, if we have hardship, how can we come together and talk about it? And what happens when X, happens? And so it took us a good, I would say, like month to finalize our operating agreement, but it was just really nice to have it all laid out. And so we all know, like what will happen if something does. And we are also humans and, want to have each other's backs as well, which I think is important too.
I'm watching Love is Blind UK right now. It's really good. they're having these intense conversations like, well, what if this and what if that? Like, because they're supposed to get married in a month. And that's kind of what a partnership is like you want to make sure you're ready to be married to that person for it. Maybe forever. Maybe if that storage unit does well, you might want to keep it forever. You don't know. Or continue, sell, do a 1031 exchange and buy the next one altogether or whatnot. So that's cool that you did that and it's been working out for you.
Yes, I love it. And our goal, is to with, that group in general, we call ourselves the Storage House Group. We can either, we're open to partnering with other people, but our goal is to own like 10 facilities within the next 5 years. And so it's kind of nice to, I think have a partnership, because once you have I feel like the staple of it, now you can just add and replicate. And that's my whole goal. I think even with storage and real estate is what I love is once you dial in what works, it's a simple, stupid, I would say strategy with an SOP that you can now take and replicate. And now you have a larger scale of cash flow and of assets too. And so I always am love businesses. I love Cody Sanchez talks about that are boring businesses that just work.
Yeah,
they just work, and so that's something that I know a lot of people talk about. It's, I love the fact that it's no toilets. We always say no toilets, no tenants. no employees, and then less problems. Is like,
Yeah.
I need to make a shirt that just like says that.
Yeah.
And then
Yes, you should.
talk to me about self-storage.
Yeah.
But that is very true, because I think just having, like, I only had a couple rentals, a couple accidental rentals, but I could see, just from other friends that I've seen that own 20, 42 doors, and, you are playing with, someone's home, this is their livelihood. And I don't know, I have a heart. And it's one of those things, especially in California, as laws change and there's just a lot of speculation. I think being able to have a business where your expense profile is lower. So in storage, it's like 35%, 30 to 35%, which is very lean. If you're looking at other like businesses in like residential, multifamily, it can be up to like, it's like 50 to 65 to 68%. And so you actually take home a larger margin. And not having employees right now, I think, as we all see in, recession times, sometimes those are the hardest people to keep and to, make sure that they're doing the right thing. And sometimes some of the larger expenses are full on time employees for businesses. So we have a lot of ability to use boots on the ground because of our automations. With storage, if you go to our facility, you literally you go to Google My Business, you find the facility, you go to the website, you pay, or you say, hey, I would like a 10 by 10. And it says, take a picture of your photo ID and then sign this like lease. And then it sends you a text message that gives you the gate code and the rules and regulations. And so literally you pull up to the gate, you put your gate code in, you go to your unit, you put your lock on, you take the lock off with the code, put it in the lockbox, put your lock on. You don't have to talk to anyone, like no one at all. So it really helps cut down boots on the ground, employee time that you need to manage a facility.
Is there like a customer service line if somebody does need to call?
Absolutely. So we have, so it's all with the automations. We have a call center. So the call center is trained with our facility, and they're in the US because I think it just felt better for our business. And they know our store. So when they call, it pops up. And then they manage, I think, a couple other stores as well, just with storage, because of, like not a lot of people are calling all the time because they stay, in stores. And so there's not a whole ton, I would say, of like customer service that is needed within the facility. And then a lot of the time they can walk through those or troubleshoot those problems with them on the phone, like right there. And if it can't be solved, then that's when our boots on the ground would meet that customer and do customer service from there. Yeah.
And what is your boots on the ground? How does that work? Do you just have somebody that you pay hourly if you need them?
Yeah. So, well, we have a lady. She is so amazing. She is a badass. So she like fixes we had a few others in the past, but she is just incredible. She's part of the community, knows everyone. She works about 15 to 20 hours a week. And probably around like 15 more. And she runs between two of our facilities. So she's like checking locks. She does lock audits, making sure that, everyone's in the right unit and it's not, or if they have not paid, she overlocks them. And so those happen at each week. And then she just cleans up because sadly people leave stuff like mattresses, like that tries not to happen, but people are messy. So she just makes sure that the presentation of the area, the lawn, everything is very much like manicured and nice for our customers. And then we are actually renting out our office building, or not office, or sorry, it used to be an office that we used to have an employee in full time. So we're actually going to be leasing that out for extra revenue, like $800 a month, to business, because we don't need, someone in there. So it's really nice to have these like facilities, like mom and pop facilities that you buy, that they might have had a 40-hour employee that you can be like, hey, 15 to 20 hours is what we need as a contractor, 1099. And then you can actually rent out that front office to a business for extra revenue.
That's a great idea. If people don't pay, I love watching Storage Wars.
I feel like that's how people know storage, because of Storage Wars. It's so true. Yeah. So if people don't pay, so if they actually can't get into the gate, so if they don't pay, we have a
Locks
software that it like will it locks them out of the gate, and then that's when our boots on the ground does the lock audits. She'll actually lock it with one of our digital locks, because if they came to the gate and paid, now they get a new gate code and the code to the lock that is digital, so that no one has to talk to them. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's where it's like very much automated. But we don't love dealing with auctions. I guess like a lot of people are like, oh, do you make money from the auctions? And it's like, no. It actually like it hurts us more, because if someone isn't paying like 30 to 60 days, that's money being left on the table, you know?
Yeah.
And so we pretty much we do auctions and collections, you know, once a month, which is something the Boots on the Ground does for us. But we don't want, it's not like making money. It's more like, hey, let's get you out of here. If you want to pay $50, clean up your stuff, because if not, we will have to do it ourselves. And the biggest thing is like, you want everyone in those units paying. So you never want like an empty unit, or a unit that's been locked out with, you know, with stuff sitting in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I for sure I wouldn't think that it would be something you want to do, but
Yeah.
curious
But
if that is like a thing.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. There's a facility that we're still talking with the owner in Arizona to buy. And this is like a mom and pop. He owns like another business right next door. He actually bought the facility for his wife to have a like business and to like have her own income, which I'm like, can I find one person to buy me a facility?
Yeah.
So I was like, it's so wonderful. But now that, you know, so they have 3 kids now, they're doing sports. And so when we looked to give him an offer, he was severely mismanaging his facility because he was not doing collections. He was not doing auctions. And so his gross potential of what he could make if he was like 100% full or like 90% full was around like $24,000 gross. And he was bringing in only $10,000 gross.
Whoa.
So he was missing $14,000 of that gap in not collecting from people and not auctioning their stuff. He just let them not pay. And so I wanted to talk about that, because that is, we call it money left on the table, which means that he doesn't want to deal with it. But if you bought his facility, now you have such great potential because you're buying it at 10,000 gross, you know, or a little bit more maybe. And you're able to improve it right away by just cleaning up the, you know, auctions and the non-rentable units that they have, and like increasing the rates. So you don't have to do any type of like renovation of a kitchen or anything like that. You're just coming in, taking care of some of those items and getting it back on the market.
Mm-hmm.
So I never expected that I would get Joey. I guess out of all the Friends characters, I always pictured myself, you know, as a woman, but I guess it kind of makes sense that I got Joey.
Yeah, I can kind of see it. You just can sweet talk people. You could do some negotiating.
Go with the flow.
Yeah. Well, I got Monica, and at first I was like, "What?" And then I was like, "Yeah, I guess I could see it."
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm a little bossy, a little controlling. I'm not very clean though, so that's why I didn't think.
I love it.
Her.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't know what we're talking about, you need to head to the show notes and go take our Friends quiz, because we have a quiz that you can figure out what type of real estate investing you should do based off of your Friends character. So it's a super fun quiz. And as you heard, I'm Monica. Rihanna is Joey. So go find out who you are and let us know on Instagram. Send us a DM at Invested and Rested. Like me, I'm actually super interested in buying a self-storage unit now. And
convert you.
I'm already converted, actually. I just have to keep learning because I kind of just started. But I'm listening to a book. I've been watching your webinars, and I'm getting excited about it. But like, if somebody is kind of like me, just getting started, what would you recommend? And like, what do you recommend doing one on your own, or going straight into partnership, or how do you kind of figure out how to get started on this?
Yeah. And I feel like that's one of like sometimes like what keeps people stuck and never buying their storage facility. And so actually like, that is why I started the storage school, which is, I co-founded this in January 2024, but I actually help people buy their first storage facility. And so I take them through 4 different phases, like the 4 stages of self-storage. And number one is like, what is storage 101? And then how do you find good storage deals, which is really important. And then how do you underwrite the deal to make sure it's a good deal and that you de-risk yourself? And then the 4th stage is like, how do you put in creative offers to make sure you put in offers to buy that facility? So that's like a kind of like the 4 stages of like buying your first facility. And I'm just very passionate because I did everything. I not everything, but I did a lot of things wrong. I think I made $40,000 of mistakes, especially just with the SBA loan, just not knowing not what I know now. And so I'm just very passionate about helping people buy their first facility and walking them through the steps so that they don't have to go through like all the hardships and for it to take less time. So we actually just started the school, which I'm excited about. And so the cohort's going to go from September till I think like mid-November. But what I always like tell them, like, and we did our session, first one last week, was like, I think understanding your buy box, which I know a lot of people talk about, but I actually like I have a Canva graphic template that we go through 6 items that a storage broker wants to know, or if you're going to post it on Facebook groups that will have a shelf life. And so my big thing is like, let's not work 10 times harder. Let's have people bring you deals, right? And tell everyone that you are wanting to buy your first storage facility, send you deals. And I love like what Henry Washington said on, I think, a bigger podcast was that he's like, this is sometimes the most simplest thing, but he's like, I bet you the people in this room, only 2 people will do it. And he's like, he's like, if you went home tonight and the only action step you took was you posted your buy box in 4 or 5 different Facebook groups and said, hey, I'm looking for X, like I'm looking for a storage facility that is in, I don't know, Columbus, Ohio, and it's between 15,000 square feet and 35,000 square feet. I have the capital ready, and if you send me a deal, I will pay a finder's fee, and I will do X, Y, and Z. Send me the deals to this email, and so that people look on Facebook groups all the time. They find deals and they have friends that have friends or family members that sell facilities, like mom and pop. And so I tell my students that was the very first thing. You are here, okay, we're finalizing your buy box, and now you have your challenge this week is posting it in like 5 different Facebook groups. And so I actually was going through and like people are like, hey, I've got 2 deals for you. Like 3 comments that already happened from like 2 days ago. So I think that's one way that I would say is to, I think find a mentor, but also like, I think get out there and be creative in the way that you have people send you deals. And then my second tip is, and this is my favorite thing, is I call it like, let's create your top 100 list. Like, let's get really good at finding self-storage deals, because that is the one skill set that I focused on in the very beginning. And this can not only make you money, but it also, you can trade. Say you find a good deal, you could trade it. Like, you're like, I don't have any money, but if you find someone that has the money, now you're into a partnership, right? Because you brought the good deal and maybe one other skill set that person that has money doesn't have the time to find. And now you guys are paired together. And so that's really important. And then, my third thing, just to finalize this, is I love doing, like, how do you create a top 100 list, a storage top 100 list? And so my favorite thing is if you go on to Google, and I'd love to, like, one day I'll have to do a demo for you guys. But if you go onto like just Google and you say, go into Google Maps. So, and then you go say self-storage in Columbus, Ohio. I've just been into Columbus, Ohio, and push enter. You will actually pop everything up that's in Columbus, Ohio, the population, all the growth. And if you see there's a one button that says nearby, and that's more like restaurants. You've seen restaurants, gas stations, all these things. If you write self-storage and you push nearby in Columbus, Ohio, all the storage facilities will pop up in Columbus, Ohio. And so what I tell my students is go in there, look for facilities that don't have a website, which will show you like clearly no website, and it has less than 4 stars. So, and 0 to 5 reviews. And that's going to actually show you these are mom and pop operators, because a lot of the time, I know we're in like 2024, but seriously, people, I don't know how they survived through COVID, but there are storage facilities that still have no website. Like, I don't know how people find them. Or if they do have a website, click on it. And I've seen all the times where there's like, do you remember Explorer, where the E would just spin? Like, it was like probably a website.
Oh, yeah.
Website from like 1990s, or I don't even know. But those
Like
are the
dial-up
times,
internet.
literally, like, you're like, how, this was created like 12 years ago. So those are really good signs that that storage facility is run by maybe someone that's 76, 80 years old, and they could possibly be open to considering an offer. So I have my students just put the name of the storage facility, the facility number, the stats of that, with the Google Maps like hyperlink into a top 100s list, and then I have them call five of those every single day, Monday through Friday. So if I call it like the 5x5, but if you add 5 new storage facilities on Google Maps each day, Monday through Friday, call 5 of those contacts, and then reach out to maybe 5 people in Facebook groups. It's not the matter of like, you're going to buy your facility. It's just when. It's like, you are going to make contact. And I think that is a lot of messy action, which scares people. But it's important. And that's how you buy any business. Like, this is no like trade secret for even just storage. If you wanted to buy a laundromat, or if you wanted to buy a gas station or a car wash, literally you do the exact same thing. And I've done it before. And so like today, I think just being where I'm at now, like 3.5 years later, I'm so glad that I started with that one skill set. I told myself, as a female, there's not a lot of females in the storage space, but there's also not a lot of females that find good deals. And so I wanted to differentiate myself, and bring a skill and something to the table. And so I got really, really good at finding off-market storage facilities that are underperforming and are mom and pop. And so today we're putting an offer on a facility actually in Ohio, not in Columbus, but in Ohio. And that's because I had been reaching out to them, and we just closed on a facility we're in the process of closing of Akron, South Carolina. And I can kind of go into the creative financing deal on that, but it literally is all from like creating a top 100 list. And
so it's just from your phone calls of looking on Google Maps, and
and I try to make 20. I mean, I think being seasoned, and I am an investor, like that's my day-to-day life. But I talk about my jar. So like at the very beginning of the week, I used to have M&Ms in here, and like I ate them all. So but I start with like a big bag, and I'll pour this in actually because it's Friday. But these are all my like true connections. So I'll call 20 people a day, but how many people I actually talk to that are true conversations, I'll put it in my jar. So I have my KPIs that I track for myself and my virtual assistants, but these are mine. And I know it's very like, to me, like I'm a visual person. I'm like, hell yeah, I did good. I did good this week. So I don't know if that helps you. If you can have M&Ms on your desk, I would eat them again. No. But
never.
I can't do it.
Yeah, I can't even have it nearby.
But I don't know if that's helpful, but that's what I got really good at. And that's what I think, has helped me grow and have a business. And not only because I own storage, which is great, cash flowing asset that will appreciate. I also own a storage deal finding business. So I own Storage House Group, is a pipeline where I find my own deals, and I'm only going to buy the great deals that I love. And then I'm going to wholesale those deals for extra cash flow to other people that might have that deal in their buy box. It might not be a deal for me, but it might be a deal for you, like Caitlin. Like to me, I'm like a 100-unit facility right now is a little too small, but I wholesale those to my students mostly, and then also to people who are like, yeah, Bree, I'd buy that deal all day long. And so it's just a really good skill that I teach my like students, is to get really good at finding good storage deals, because you can make a quick $50,000 to $100,000, and that can change your life. Like, we had one person that was a school teacher, and he actually in South Carolina, he found abandoned storage facility and sold it to the literally right next door, the facility owner, and he made $70,000, and that was more than his like teacher income.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah.
My jaw is like,
Tried
what?
to go to the 100, but at the end of the day, it became down to 70,000. But you know what I mean? And I think that's the power of, like, he didn't buy it himself, but he's like, hey, I got to buy my wife a car. And he's like, it was just so special to me. And so now he's back out there, you know, trying to find more deals to hopefully take down and buy and hold, which is the whole, you know, goal, because
Yeah.
being an investor, you know, we want to also create cash flow, but also benefit from the appreciation and the tax benefits that we can get with, you know, buying real estate in a business.
That's great. How much time, like, what's a day like? I know you have your acquisition business, but also, what's kind of a day like of being a storage unit owner?
Yeah, absolutely. So mine, I would say, is a little bit different because I have partners. I wouldn't say I'm not an operator. And that's why I always talk when I go to like negotiate a partnership or a part of a partnership. I'm more of a, hey, I can help raise money and I can do acquisitions. But I partner, like, I seek out partners that are true operators. And so that's who people that I'm like, I want to partner with. And so my business, partners are both the operators. And so we meet once a week. But honestly, 5 to probably 8 hours a week. And and that's 2 facilities. And that is because we, you know, have boots on the ground. We have a lot of operations, and we don't take the calls ourselves. We have a call center. Um, and so I think a lot of that is very doable. And of add more, I think it will increase. But like, my whole goal is, we always like, this is actually our like partnership like mantra. I think I posted on Instagram the other day, but it's like, you know, how can I be like wildly profitable, socially positive within a community because you own a business, and then also what is a business that brings you joy. And so those are really 3 things that when we buy facilities, you know, how do we keep ourselves still as an owner operator for only 10 hours a week, which is really important to us. And if it's too much, sometimes if it's too much of a heavy lift, we call them hairy dogs. That's not always in our buy box. You know, we want some that, you know, need renovation, but the roof isn't caving in, or, you know, like, there's not some big hairy dog syndrome that needs to be like taken care of. So because our main goal is to buy it underperforming, and underperforming can be 2 different things. The outside could be it, which is not our favorite. And then number 2, it just means that like the facility is 20% under market rates. Or they have cash, people that are paying cash in a cash box versus on an online like website. So those ones you can come in and a little bit of work up front in the very beginning, and that's an operational performance push. And so like day 1, you know, you can increase rates 10, 15%, and then slowly over time. So that increases, like, you buy it, like our small facility, just as a perspective, is 83 units. We bought it for 500,000, and which is almost as much as just a house that I just bought in California, which is kind of crazy. But I just want to put it in perspective. I was like, Bree, everyone told me don't buy the house, but I wanted to buy the house. So $500,000 house versus a $500,000 storage facility. And so what's beautiful about this example is that you can add value to that storage facility and enforce appreciation. So the goal for that facility is, we bought it in 2022, beginning of 2022, and we will sell it or refinance at 2025, and it will be worth 1.2 million at a 7.5 cap. So,
and you bought it for $500,000?
Yeah. So think about 2xing 500,000 to 1.2 million within 3 years. Because if you can increase you say rates, they're under 20%. Now that increases the purchase price that you can sell at. So that's our whole goal, is like, how do we buy underperforming facilities, increase the price over time, or decrease your expenses in order to get a higher net operating income, which we could sell at 2x than what we bought it from.
Wow. And then did you put any money into that? I mean,
Yeah.
probably minimal, but
Yeah. So that one, I mean, same thing with both my two other partners. So this is a cool deal. So this was a seller financing deal, which means that we came to the owner and said, like, hey, I know you own it outright. Would you be open to being the bank for us for 7 years? And we will pay you a 5% interest over time, which means you'll make more money. Like, you'll make 600 and something, 60,000. And he's like, sure. It took some negotiation, but we gave him like a 3-part offer, which I teach in my storage school. And he is like, yeah, let's do it. So we came in, bought it for 500,000. He wanted a 10% down payment, which was $50,000. Great example. And he wanted a 5% interest. And we were like, we have to have a 7-year balloon just so that we can, have enough time to execute the business plan. And so with that, we pay him $2,400 every single month. And he calls it his fishing money. So literally he like loves to go fishing with his grandkids. And that's his whole thing. He was like moved from like Louisiana to North Carolina with his wife had all the grandkids in North Carolina. And so he just takes them fishing on the charter boats from all this money that we're just sending to him each month. So the whole thing with that is, yeah, which is like, if you think about it, 35% expense profile. We're making around like $8,000 a month. It's a smaller facility. We pay him $2,400. We pocket the rest. So sorry, that we have a 35% expense profile on that, and then we pocket the rest of the cash flow. So it's around $3,500 to $4,000 of cash flow in that facility. So not huge, but the appreciation is what we're really like banking on. And then
that could replace somebody's salary. That's
exactly
35K salary a year.
And if you own multiple of those, which is like, and they're small little 83 unit facilities, like non-manned, all automated. And he used to have a cash box out front. That's why we joke is that, we automated everything and we improved it, got tenants on automation payments, and it wasn't like we've done nothing. Well, we put a couple of box units, which is pods along the side to increase a little bit more revenue. And other than that, I think we painted the sign and that was it. So we'll sell it for 2x, without having to like go give it a facelift or like pay expensive gates and like do all these things that I think a lot of residential spaces, and sorry, I'm coming full circle. The reason why that's different is because in their residential, like the house I just bought, I just did a $50,000 like renovation on it. It's a great deal. That's a whole other story, but it was a rat house, but $50,000 into it. And it's going to slowly appreciate to the amount of what the neighborhood comps are. Right. And so no matter how beautiful it looks inside, I think it's cash flowing like $400 right now, but the thing is versus 4,000, that's the 10% like difference in. You can buy a $500,000 house in California, which I know is really expensive for some folks, or you can buy a $500,000 business and commercial asset. So, I'd rather buy storage all day long is my big thing, because you can force appreciation in 3 years to 2x. This house that I have, it's more for like my kiddo and family, but that I'd have to sit on, wait maybe 5-8 years, depending on wherever the market goes. In order,
you don't have any control over it.
I have zero control. Yeah, unless I like, go in and create an Airbnb and then like house hack or whatever that is. But that takes time and like marketing, all the things that is a whole other business than I really want to be in as like a mom and a family, unit. So I wanted to give that example as like a perspective shift of like why I love storage. And I don't have to buy like, 8 houses every year. I buy 1 to 2 good storage deals and that's it. And so that's my big thing is I buy only 1 to 2, which, still takes a lot of time and effort. And I would wholesale the rest to bring in more cash flow for my businesses and for my family as well. And to reinvest into, stock market, all the other things that now you have in a whole other additional revenue. And it's all in the same industry, So it's just leveraging. Yeah. And this is all the things I learned. So I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I feel like you both are like exceptional learners. And it's so funny when you get an idea, you're like, okay, like you have a sickness. I joke. I have a sickness. How does this work? Okay, now I go down like, the rabbit trail and then reach out to people like you do, like, hey, I know you're really good at creative financing. Like, tell me about this, or joining groups, and leveling up. And I think it's just like surrounding yourself, like going to cash flow and meet up in like San Jose and meeting the people that are doing it too. Because I would just say, like, in my neighborhood, in my community, I would say I'm an anomaly, and sometimes you have to travel and like find your people to be like, oh, like, yes, you get me,
Yeah.
So, it is kind of cool listening to you talk about everything that you just said too, because I'm like hearing it from a different perspective of, I don't own any self-storage, so I'm like a beginner, and that's the people that we help with getting into single family, multi, whatever it may be, of like homes. And I'm like, wow, it's cool to be in this space of being a beginner again, hearing everything that you're talking about. Because I have those same fears as the people that we speak with of, but how do you do this? But how do you do that? And it's like, there's a system and a process. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I were to do this, I would 100% jump into your class and work with you instead of Googling stuff, because you can Google everything. You figured it out on your own, but like, it is so worth the investment to have somebody help you that has been through everything. And I'm like, wow, just the things I'm like realizing right now as you're talking. So cool.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I just started the storage school. And so there was a couple, that you'd have conversations with. And I always come back to like, I'm like, if I had to do it over again, like I would invest in, I think finding a group of people that you can ask these mistakes with, because I made $40,000. And so like in one of our classes, they are putting an offer, a verbal offer actually in today on a facility in Texas. And I gave her like 5 minutes of feedback on Loom from her analysis. I said, send me X, Y, and Z. Why do you like this deal? What do you think it could be worth in 3 years? How are you de-risking yourself? And then I gave her 3 tips that I want you to go back to the broker and ask them, hey, I can give you, I think it was like 1.8 million. She said she came in, she's like, I think I can give him 2.2. I'm like, no, it's really 1.8, which is helpful, right? And then, hey, if you ask the broker, because it says on the LM that they own it outright, would the owner be open to a seller financing deal? Maybe at that point I can give you a little bit more money, And so I love this example because I think you're right. And I like make my students, Pace Morby says this best, and I love, and I take it. And I actually started my storage school conversation saying like, I don't want you guys to go from A to Z, because as humans we do in anyways, and as females we do too. But I want you to, with each session, like go in there, and I have one action item for you. Go make a ton of messy action, go mess it up, because you can't like F it up, but go mess it up and then bring back your problems to me. And don't worry about like B through Z. And if you stay in that mentality of like, okay, I don't know what to do next, but I'm going to do this one thing, bring it back to me, and I'm going to give you those next steps. And so that's like, I feel like so much more doable, like, look, go take that messy action and then come back to me because I want to solve your problem. I will give you that next step, but I don't want to give you A through Z, because then you won't do it, which is so true.
It's too overwhelming.
Yeah. There's no distractions with only one thing to do. You have to do that one thing. You'll notice when they come back to you if they haven't done it yet.
Totally. But I do think it's something you didn't talk about is, and I want to hear from your guys' perspective too, like a big fear that a lot of people tell me is like, hey, I don't have the money, And so I even was with my copywriter that I'm working to build my website, and he's like, Bree, because I asked him like, well, why aren't you investing? Like you're in this space right now too, because you're working with me. And he's like, I just don't have the money. And I was like, so we got on Facebook, and I made him send off like 3 messages. But long story short, it's about like, how creative can you get out there to find the deals? But my first house I bought for $305,000, which is very similar to the first storage deal that I bought for like 3.1 million. So you add one more million or one more zero on top of that, and yeah, I was shitting bricks. You know what I mean? Like the big, you're just like, I just went from a $310,000 house to now a $3.1 million, like asset. And yeah, it's scary, but it's at the same time, I think if you have the right knowledge and you have the right community to go mess it up, ask that question, and then come back. Storage, I love it. Simple business. Like you really can't say F it up because it's literally a 10 by 10 box cinder block with a shed door. You know what I mean? A roll up. Like, you really, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to put it on Google My Business and you're going to go market it if you really need to. But you really, like, what I love about this is that you can't mess it up. It's simple, has an really low expense profile, which helps de-risk you. And then at the same time, it's not immediate, right? Like if someone can't get into their house or the toilet broke, it's immediate. For me and my like rentals, if someone can't get into, for heaven forbid, like get into their storage unit, it's not their house. You know what I mean? Like it could wait, like one time the power went out. Sorry, like I had someone coming, but 8 hours later, they were totally fine because they went home, came back, their stuff. So I always just say like, if a 80-year-old man that has a cash box out front and has a pad of note paper that has his unit mix and his like accounting written on a notepad can do that business, you can definitely run it better. So I know it sounds crazy, but like we buy all these facilities and they like, well, I'll send you a picture of my unit mix that I put on my yellow pad. And I'm like, perfect. That's all I need. All I need. I'm like,
that's all I needed to know.
That's totally fine. Because I know that's an opportunity. Like I'm drooling because I'm like, wow, I can really add value to this and improve this business over time, which then brings in more cash flow and equals, a larger net operating income, and which equals a bigger, higher price for me to sell at. Totally. So yeah, that's I don't know if that helped in any way, but
oh my gosh, it helps so much. Like I feel like that really opens up. Well, I was already sold and I'm even more sold. I'm like, okay, maybe I can get it faster. I was thinking the next 6 months to a year, but now I'm like, maybe before the end of the year.
Oh yeah, no, there's so many creative ways you can go about it too. And with like deal flow. And that's my favorite thing is like, how do you teach these tips? Because I'll give like another tip for you guys. Like, there's not a lot of people going on, I teach this in my storage school, but like going on Facebook Marketplace, right? So have you ever looked for a house on Facebook Marketplace?
No, I've looked at rentals.
Okay, that's good. And so, yes, so this is the thing, you should do this with houses too. But what I do is I go on Facebook Marketplace, put in Columbus, Ohio, and put like a 30-mile radius around it. And then I will actually target self-storage units for rent. I don't want them for sale, for rent. And the ones will pop up because 80-year-old people don't know where else to put them but Facebook Marketplace. And so what's going on now I send them just a DM in the Facebook Messenger and I get the owner. Like I literally did this on my storage school workshop. And we did it to like 5 or 10 people within like 1 minute. And we had 2 people message back, hey, yeah, I'd consider an offer. I'm not taking anything less than, it was like 800,000. And so that's a lead. You know what I mean? And so you can do the exact same thing with houses, units for rent, houses for rent. Because if you think about it, that storage owner is probably hurting because they need to rent out more units where they're having a hard time doing it because they can't market because they have no website, being very sassy and passive. But, so they might consider an offer because now it's a burden to them. And the same thing, that person probably can't rent their house on, I don't know, Redfin or wherever you want to look. Zillow. Or rent.com, and so now they might consider an offer because they're like, wow, my house has been vacant for 6 months. I'm paying the mortgage. I would consider an offer right now. Like that's motivation. So I just gave you guys a really cool little creative tip that I don't normally tell a lot of people, but I'm like, my students, but these are the kind of things that I think that people aren't thinking about is like, how do you think outside the box versus all these gurus and people are doing the same exact thing. And they're like, why can't I find good deals? It's because they're not looking, like, normally deals are right underneath your like nose, but they're not looking further. Like, how do you find motivation in different ways that not a ton of people? So my action item for you, because I'm a coach, I'm a teacher, I love talking about
Tell us what to do. I love assignments.
Yeah. And I do this. I have my virtual assistant. I trained my virtual assistant to do this because I have a 2.5-year-old. So this is my action item homework for both you guys and anyone listening is that, and I bet you're not going to do it. This is what Henry Washington said. I bet you won't do it, but you will be successful if you do. So if you message 20 people, go into Facebook Marketplace, put in your city and your state, nearby, houses for rent, storage for rent, units for rent, and you message 20 people on that, you will get someone that will respond to you. And what I say, it's a very easy thing. There's no like special script. It's just, hi, my name is Bree. I'm a storage owner, investor. I am looking for a facility in your area. I saw your facility on Facebook Marketplace. I just wanted to see if you would consider an offer. Let me know. And I can give you a call tomorrow. That's it. Like, it's very personal. It's very easy. And I never say, do you want to sell? It's more, would you consider an offer? Because now you're putting it into their path and saying like, and everyone's like, oh, an offer is nothing's going to hurt by giving an offer. You can say no. Yeah. But if you want to sell, that's personal sometimes. So that's my tip. And if you go, I do it. Like if you're scrolling on Netflix, late at night, 20 messages. And just be careful. Don't go over 30 because you can get shadow banned, I guess. So I have learned that. 25 messages is safe, though.
Okay. And that's an easy amount to do.
If you did that for 4 days, that's 100 leads that you never had before. It's over. And so that's my whole goal is like in the storage school, like how do we create lead funnels that we will now get people who raise their hand? Because that's all we care about. We want people to raise their hand that says, yes, I would consider an offer. And now they get to bring it to me and say, okay, what's the offer? And they get to calculate it. At the very end of the 10 weeks, they're going to be so good at this because we do it for Storage Shark Tank. But we come back and I say, here's the offer. And they say yes or no. And you can make it creative. You could do conventional, whatever it is. So that's the whole thing is all we care about is having someone raise their hand. Would you consider an offer? And then I know Caitlin and Rihanna are so good with comps and houses. If you guys don't know what to do after someone raises their hand, go to Caitlin and Rihanna, and I know they are going to walk you through that process. So, or myself for storage. So that's the biggest thing is like, you don't need to know A through Z. Just get people to raise their hand that say, yes, I would consider an offer.
Cool.
So that's my biggest thing. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Bree. That's super helpful. Thank you so much. I feel like I learned a lot in this short period of time, even more so than your webinar too. So can you tell everybody where to find you and how to learn more about your storage school and everything you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love hanging out on Instagram. So I am Bree.theinvestor. And I'm always on there saying hi to people and just helping, connecting people in the connector. And then if you guys are interested in the storage school, we have I think 3 more spots available. And I do have 2 spots for one-on-one. So let me know in the DMs. And then you can also find the storage school at selfstorageschool.com. So super easy. And it's also in the link in my bio. But I want to give you guys a freebie because it's, I was like, you guys are so special. So I did create this top 5 deal finding tips. And it's actually in the link in my bio and on Instagram. So you can find it there, or I will just give Caitlin and Rihanna the
we can put it in the show notes.
Yeah. Below. And then, I don't know, have you guys taken the storage quiz? This is my new passion project.
No,
it sounds fun.
So I just created this awesome self-storage quiz. It's kind of what type of self-storage investor are you? So it breaks it down into 4 different types, and it gives you kind of the pros and cons of that investor and what what might come up for you in your like mindset or beliefs. And then, yeah, it kind of talks all about it with the cheat sheet. So it's really cool. So I'd love for you guys to go take it, and like your audience, and give me some feedback. I'd love to hear, because I just created this. You know how you're just like, yeah, I finally, after that idea that's been in your head for like 8 months, it finally came out. And so I want everyone to take it. And so I think it gives you a very good appearance of like what market, how much risk you want to take, and then like where should you start.
Awesome. Yeah. I want a quiz too. Let's make a quiz. That's fun.
Yeah.
It is. If you think about it, I love quizzes, and especially if it can help you like start thinking like, what's that next step? Like that's the whole point. And it's fun too. Like who does not like a quiz? So like my idea came from like 2.5-year-old, where she did the like Disney princess quiz, and of course she
Which
was
princess are you?
Frozen, of course. And so, but I was like, oh, what if I did a storage quiz from this? And so we joke now that the Disney princess quiz now turned into, what type of self-storage investor are you?
I love it. I think about like old Cosmo magazines.
Oh yeah,
right?
sure.
Yeah, I know. As a kid, I fully agree. But yes, love, if you guys have any questions like after this, definitely download the 5 top deal finding strategies. That's a really great cheat sheet. And then do the storage quiz. I want to see your Caitlin and Rihanna. I want to see what you get as the end product.
I will. I'll definitely take it. Well, thank you so much, Bree. This was super helpful for me, and I'm sure for everybody that's listening. So thanks for giving us all your insights. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, friends. That's the episode for today. We so appreciate you being here with us, and would love if you could leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts.
And don't forget to subscribe for future episodes, and check the show notes to sign up for the waitlist for our retreats and future coaching programs. Stay rested, friends, and talk soon.